Sue Bird warns of Indiana Fever's decisive factor even without Caitlin Clark. WNBA legend points to Aaliyah Boston's impact as Indiana gears up for playoffs. The 2025 WNBA season has been anything but straightforward for the Indiana Fever. After an up-and-down campaign defined by injuries, the team managed to close out the regular season on a strong note. Despite losing Caitlin Clark and several other key contributors, Indiana pieced together a late surge with 3 consecutive wins, ultimately grabbing the number 6 seed in the playoff bracket. That rally has shifted perceptions of the team. What looked like a lost year has turned into a post-season opportunity, and according to Sue Bird, the Atlanta Dream may find themselves in serious trouble against an Indiana squad that has rediscovered its identity. The 2025 WNBA season has been anything but straightforward for the Indiana Fever. After an up-and-down campaign defined by injuries, the team managed to close out the regular season on a strong note. Despite losing Caitlin Clark and several other key contributors, Indiana pieced together a late surge with 3 consecutive wins, ultimately grabbing the number 6 seed in the playoff bracket. That rally has shifted perceptions of the team. What looked like a lost year has turned into a post-season opportunity, and according to Sue Bird, the Atlanta Dream may find themselves in serious trouble against an Indiana squad that has rediscovered its identity. Sue Bird breaks down the Fever's hidden edge. On her Bird's Eye View podcast, Bird explained why this first-round series feels so unpredictable. The reason why this series is interesting is cause these two teams haven't played each other. Like these two teams haven't really played each other, she said. Obviously, Indiana is the team that's been hit the absolute most by injuries, so they feel totally different, but they've kind of found themselves a little bit. Then you have Atlanta. They've had the injury bug a little bit too. Not as much as Indiana, but you have a player like Jordan Canada who's been out for a decent chunk of time and is now just back in the lineup. So, you're not gonna base it off anything from the regular season, Bird said. Although the season series was split evenly, all 4 matchups were finished by mid-July, long before Indiana lost Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, and Ari McDonald. On paper, the Fever are weakened. Yet, Bird suggested that what Indiana brings to the floor now could actually create new problems for Atlanta. To me, the Fever, what they're bringing is just like a grit. They're just gritty about it. They find ways to win. They find ways to stay in games. I don't know. It might come down to, can Aaliyah Boston kind of have an impact, not just in the paint, but the way she playmakes against Atlanta's bigs, she said. Aaliyah Boston's growing influence. While Kelsey Mitchell has stepped into the leadership role after Clark's injury, Boston has quietly become the deciding factor for Indiana. Averaging 15 points and 3.7 assists per game, the second-year center has expanded her offensive game, using her passing vision to punish defenses that collapse on her in the post. Her track record against the Dream is especially notable. Across their 4 regular season contests, she averaged 13.5 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 5.0 assists, numbers that underscore her ability to dictate the game on multiple fronts. She also collected 17 double-doubles this year, placing her among the league's most dominant frontcourt players, trailing only the likes of Aya Wilson, Angel Reese, and Alyssa Thomas. The Dream, meanwhile, face depth concerns at center. Their gamble on Brittany Griner never fully materialized, and much of the responsibility inside has shifted to Brianna Jones. Her assignment in this series is clear but daunting: contain Boston without falling into foul trouble or ceding control of the boards. As Bird emphasized, Indiana's grit and Boston's versatility could tilt the matchup. Even without their rookie sensation Clark, the Fever may have found the exact formula to cause problems for Atlanta and perhaps pull off one of the most surprising playoff upsets of the season. The Indiana Fever entered the 2025 WNBA playoffs carrying both a burden and an opportunity. Their brightest star, Caitlin Clark, was sidelined with a season-ending injury, yet the team still found itself in the postseason. The absence of Clark, the league's most watched player, a walking highlight reel, and a cultural phenomenon, might have spelled doom for some franchises. But according to Sue Bird, the WNBA legend who spent 2 decades redefining what leadership looks like, the Fever had something many overlooked: A decisive factor rooted in identity, not just celebrity. Bird, never one to sugarcoat her analysis, appeared on a national broadcast days before Indiana's first playoff game. "Listen," she began, folding her hands the way she used to before nailing a clutch three in crunch time. "Caitlin Clark changes everything, no question. But Indiana's fate doesn't rest only on her. Their decisive factor right now is how they've learned to play without her, and who's stepped into that vacuum. The vacuum left behind. When Clark went down, the WNBA world froze. Social media spiraled into panic. Was the season over for Indiana? Would ticket sales plummet? Could anyone tune in to watch the Fever without their rookie superstar? At first glance, those were fair questions. Clark had been the gravitational force pulling defenders out of position, the player opposing coaches stayed awake at night trying to scheme against. She stretched the court with logo threes and threaded passes through impossible windows. Without her, the Fever seemed like a ship missing its sail. But Sue Bird, who once guided Seattle through seasons of reinvention, understood something deeper. When a superstar goes down, the system either collapses or it matures. Indiana matured. The rise of collective identity. Indiana's decisive factor, Bird argued, was their shift toward collective identity. With Clark sidelined, the spotlight didn't vanish, it redistributed. Aaliyah Boston, the second-year center with hands soft as clay and a presence as immovable as granite, became the anchor. Her post-play forced teams to collapse inside, opening space for wings like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hall to rediscover their offensive rhythms. More importantly, the Fever's defense tightened. Without Clark running the break every possession, they slowed down, valuing each trip. Players communicated more, rotated harder, and rebounded with desperation. "Defense travels," Bird said, echoing an old mantra. "And in the playoffs, it decides games." Sue warned that fans expecting Clark-style fireworks might be disappointed, but opponents underestimating the new Fever would be in for a rude awakening. Lessons from Sue's career. Bird knew what she was talking about. She'd seen how a team's essence changes when forced to adapt. In 2019, when Breanna Stewart tore her Achilles and missed the entire season, Seattle could have folded. Instead, they leaned on veterans, reinvented their pace, and stayed competitive until Stewart returned to win Finals MVP the following year. "The Fever aren't just a one-woman show," Bird explained. "They're learning the same lesson we learned in Seattle, that when your star is gone, everybody else sharpens their edge."